Hello there, and welcome to my first actual set review on this channel. Today we're gonna be taking a closer look at an older set, which is the Twilight from the 2008 Clone Wars movie, which also released back with the first wave of Clone Wars sets in 2008. Set number is 7680, comes with a total of 882 pieces, and the original retail price was 99.99 USD. I couldn't find the euro price. Well, Brexit didn't list it and I didn't bother looking anymore, but it probably was 100 euros as well. It might have been 90 since they tend to crank down the prices on the bigger sets to balance the ratio between USD and euros, but could have been 80 as well. I don't know the prices back then. I wasn't into Star Wars back then. So the set comes with 4 characters, 2 minifigs, Anakin and Ahsoka, the astromech R2D2, and the Rotter the Hutling or Stinky, which is a exclusive piece. So let's take a closer look at those. The first figure we have here is Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars sets, the earlier Clone Wars sets. He has the standard blue lightsaber, the Clone Wars face with the bug printed eyes, or anime eyes as I like to call them. No alternative face. The hairpiece actually was new back then. Before that they used the longer Jesus looking hairpiece for Anakin, but this was the new piece back then and they're still using it today. So we have pretty minimalistic torso print, nothing on the back, just a pair of standard unprinted black legs, so nothing too special about this figure. There are definitely much better versions of Anakin now, so he's probably the least interesting character in this set. So next up we have Ahsoka Tano, the Padawan version, also from the earlier Clone Wars sets. She has the green lightsaber, which is actually actually it's a yellow lightsaber blade, it's not the green one. You have the bug eyes, anime eyes as well, but I don't think they look as bad as on Ahsoka as on the human characters like Anakin, but I still do prefer the regular minifig eyes. She has the very cool headpiece that still really nice to get. No alternative face, no back printing, no printed legs, same as with Anakin. Pretty minimalistic, but the figure is 12 years old, so these were the standards back then. They have definitely increased for today. That also comes with R2, which isn't even the old R2. This is like the old R2 before they had the gray or even silver dome piece. It's white with some print on it, which is actually a pretty nice print, nicely evenly printed, since the new ones tend to have a bit of an off print. Nothing on the back, nothing really special in here. General, since he does come in a lot of other sets for the original trilogy and prequel trilogy, since he's in all those movies as well. And last but definitely not least, we have probably the most interesting character in the set, which is Rotter the Hutling, or as they call him, Stinky. He's Jabba's son, and his piece is pretty nice. He has one anti-stat at the bottom. His arms are actually able to move, but you can't remove them. They're all in the piece. They're a bit hard to move, but it's a nice little addition to make the figure more expressive. You can raise the arms a bit. And of course he can be held by a figure. The piece itself held up pretty well. The only thing I would change about this for a modern day version is recolor it in olive green and maybe give it some more print on the face, but this one actually holds up pretty well compared to the other figures. So for the actual look at the ship and set in general, I'm going to film this in free cam, which is probably the best idea to give you some good looks by not having to change the camera angle too much. The thing that really drew me to this set was the B-Wing-esque design with like the cockpit area, main area in the middle, and then one big wing off to the side, as well as some smaller wings coming off of it. We're gonna look at that play feature later. the cockpit opens up completely by just, you have this little Technic thing at the front. You can fold the whole thing down, fold this up and reveal the cockpit. You have 2 seats for Ahsoka and Anakin. The lightsabers are pretty oddly positioned back there, and you get a little spot for Stinky in the middle here. You can see. You can easily fold this back up, fold this down. So this thing is actually supposed to have a windscreen right here, but Lego just left it open because they probably couldn't figure out a nice way to cover this up or anything. I also don't like how gappy the set is in general, like especially up here. If they would have put like just one longer tile or a couple of tiles in there, they would have covered this up much more nicely. I really like the shaping around here though, having these angled pieces kind of gives it a nice look. Cockpit in general, it's actually pretty big. Off to the side you have the engines, you have this kind of engine slash compartment here, which can be easily removed by just sitting on some Technic pins right here, and you can open this up. There isn't actually anything included to put in there, so it's really nice getting some extra space for your own stuff, since a lot of modern or big sets don't have just enough space to fit everything from the set, so it's nice getting some more space in here. You can't actually fit the figure for that, the space is too small, but you might fit some accessories or Stinky could fit in there. You can easily fold this up and slide it back on here, sits in there snugly between those 2 pieces. You have the big engine on the back, which has some transparent pieces in here. I really like the design of this, kind of balances it out a bit. What I also really like about the set is you have this big kind of platform on the back that has a lot of standing space or cargo space, which don't really a lot of vehicles have, so that's also probably my favorite feature of the set. Here we have a door with one of the only play features, which is you can lift this up and it holds it in place up here with this Technic ball thingy. Inside we have a little wrench, or what's called a little rope with a hook. Can't remember the name, god damn it. Anyway, moving on. So you can see you can have a figure hold onto that, or maybe attach some cargo and pull it up. Here we have a little compartment as well, which stores some more tools that didn't fit on the tool rack over there. We're gonna see that from the other side. Close it up. And the main play function of this door is if you push this little knob up here, it releases the door and drops it down. It's a little simple mechanism where it lifts up this Technic piece and then just releases the door like this. So that's pretty cool, but you got some pretty big gaps on the top and bottom here as well. Have a lot of the red pins showing that are used to attach the wing and landing gear, so that might have needed some covering up. But yeah, we have 2 smaller engines on the wing here. Here we have the turret that doesn't actually shoot, which is movable. You can fold it up or down, can't really put it really in the middle. Oh, you can, but it's really flimsy, like it's really up or down. So you can see, doesn't have a lot of grip, it can't actually shoot, there's nothing to shoot here. No spring-loaded shooters back then. You can open up the area here, which has the other tools sitting in there. Also has a spot for R2. And probably the least favorite thing about the set for me is that there's so much space inside, but it's not used. If we go inside here, you can see there's literally just a hole in the floor. Like so much space that could have been used to maybe put some interior in there, but they didn't use it, which I'm probably gonna change. I really want to update this set myself, use some new pieces, smooth out the edges, fill this interior in and just fix a lot of the gaps. Maybe actually add in some play functions with the cannons. We'll see. But the wing we have right here, got a little bit of detailing right around the edge of it. And at the end we have a flickfire missile, but it's actually it's on a rotating turret-like thing. It's pretty hard to rotate. It's probably because the pieces are a bit older and they tend to develop some friction. Same with the flickfire missile here. It's actually in there quite tightly, but if you don't know how they work, you can just see if this works. Yeah, you will have to push it a couple of times. Since it's in there quite hard. So probably not the best play function, but it was back then. So we have a little bit of this design detailing on the roof. Also, this thing is quite hard. Well, not hard, but I'm used to having a handle on these sets. A lot of the new bigger sets have some built-in handle. You can easily grab it and lift it up, which this one doesn't have. Best way to pick it up is fold down the turret and put your fingers in there and grab it on the edge here and lift it up, which holds together quite nicely. The plates are just attached via studs, but they do hold pretty nicely. Maybe if you shake it too hard, this might come off, as you can see, and it might drop it, so be careful with that. But so for the next bit, I'm gonna show myself a bit here, because this is probably the easiest way to show off the lower wing play feature, well, flawed play feature. Probably the easiest way to record it is just like this. So you can see you have the landing gear folded out right here when it's standing down. You can see there's a big gap at the bottom of the ship, which I really don't like, but it's nothing that can't be fixed. The landing gear, you can fold it up. You have these things are loose, so you can fold them in like that pretty nicely, but they do like to fall off. Also right here. So the landing gear can be folded in quite nicely. Yeah, see, these things really like to fall down, but yeah. So onto the wing play feature, which is probably another main gripe of the set, is that it really doesn't work that well, especially on the older set, because the way it's intended is you have this little lever right here, you can see, and you're supposed to push this down and it's supposed to release the wing, but it doesn't really work, since this pin has this axle has lost its grip and is like the ball and really easily comes off, and this has probably more friction than it's supposed to, which the pin that holds in the wing right here, and every time you push it down, it's right on the edge here, so when you push it down, it just pushes out the pin, the ball end, and the wing just goes down a bit, but not fully. So you have to do it with your finger. I've tried replacing the pieces, but it still didn't work, so it's kind of a flawed mechanism. You can see the whole thing with the wing folded down. Another thing that's kind of annoying is that the wing is built into the landing gear, so every time you move the wing, it also moves the landing gear, so you have to move it separately. If you have this down, if you swoosh it around, the wing does not like to stay in place, so best if you grab it like this, holding down the landing gear, so the wing does stay in place when playing with it. The wing is kind of bare bones, like this. Like there's supposed to be a lot more here, and there's supposed to be more of the engine looking part, round part here, but they didn't include it, probably because the way they built it, which it looks fine from like the middle down, but the top half is really just one or two Technic pins, which really doesn't look that nice. Have a little bit more detail on the wing down here, got some blue pins showing. That you can see you can easily reattach it, so it's on there quite tightly. We have another turret build which doesn't actually shoot, no spring-loaded shooters or flick-fire missiles, so giving you another little 360 of the whole thing. It's actually a pretty big set. I was quite surprised when I unboxed it how big this actually was, like to the size comparison. It's got a good size to it, but it's quite empty, so it's about $100 set, yeah. Yeah, that's all I have. Let's wrap up. So overall, I do quite like the set. I really like the overall designs. It's a pretty unique set, and we don't really have anything else outside of B-Wing that's really like that. I have quite a few gripes with the set, but it's mostly the times like having a lot of gaps and just the inside not being utilized and some of the play features like the lower wing that really doesn't work properly. But I think it's still quite a nice set. And for 2008 standards, like this set is 12 years old. We're used to the modern Lego Star Wars standards. We have so many more pieces that could make this set so much better. So I don't really fault it for that. Another kind of a gripe I have is the minifigure selection. Like what you get is good, but for $100 set back then, they really could have included maybe one or two more characters. I know in the movie there probably aren't more character in this scene, but throwing in an additional clone trooper or a couple of droids to add some play value would have really been nice since four characters in $100 sets. That's Lego Star Wars 2020, that's Lego Star Wars 2008 to be honest. But yeah, overall, still really nice set. It's quite expensive nowadays. I managed to get this pretty cheap, like really cheap and in really great condition. Like none of the pieces are yellow. The figures are in great condition. No scratches, no broken pieces. So yeah, I got lucky with this one. Definitely a nice add to the collection. But yeah, that's gonna be it for my first review. You can follow me on Instagram. Also, I have some more reviews coming, but this time some newer sets from 2020. Also have some more mock showcases coming up. The two biggest ones probably I have so far, which are gonna be Toothless and Stormfly, but probably gonna take a while until I'm not lazy enough to do those. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.